Top 10 oversold stocks. What's going on, team? It's Ricky with Tech Solutions. I hope that you guys are all having an amazing weekend. I'm filming this on December 3rd, but I wanted to make sure that I had a solid video before our Sunday stock talk. A lot of you guys really like these videos. If you would like me to continue to talk about stocks that are oversold, meaning that they have recently sold off and offer good upside margin, please, all we ask you to do is to make sure to drop a thumbs up. Also, I was thinking about uploading kind of like a day in life edit video tomorrow morning, which will be Sunday. And if you think I should, because I haven't in a while, drop a thumbs up. And if this video gets over 1,000 likes, I'll make sure to blow your guys' hats off. So without further ado, one of the things that we always talk about is I like to encourage people to have and create different watch lists. Depending on what platform it is that you use. On Robinhood, this would be a little bit more difficult because you can't create different watch lists. But on platforms like TD Ameritrade, Interactive Brokers, Fidelity, you're able to create, or you have the ability to create, a series of different watch lists, which can help you structure out and organize different stocks depending on what stages they are when it comes down to, you know, what it is that you see value in. Is it the rejection, consolidation, or confirmation stage? And I think this is why it's so important. So today we're going to be talking about stocks that have aggressively pulled back, offer based off of previous support levels, nice upside margin. Not all of these stocks are good buys right now. My goal with this video, please make sure you pay attention to this, especially if you're an absolute beginner. My goal with this video is not for you to agree with me on every single stock that I talk about, but to understand why it is that it's within this list, and for you to cherry pick and be selective with, out of all the stocks that we talk about today, to cherry pick and add whichever ones meet your criteria to your watch list, set your alerts, and follow up with it when it makes the most sense. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. The first one is ATHM. Very consistent uptrend pattern. One of the things that I try to focus on most when it comes down to meeting my criteria is three specific things. I like consistent patterns. You guys can see that this is a consistent pattern. Very easy to identify the high points, low points, high points, low points, high points, low points. Better to determine the, where to buy and where to sell. On top of that, it's ascending. The overall direction is against me. Stay true to that, right? Because it is much easier. It's still not easy, but it's much easier to be able to make money in the stock market when the overall direction is in your favor, right? It's ascending with you. Think about it. How difficult is it to make money off of a stock that is selling off? It's not impossible. It's just more difficult because the direction is playing against you. This is the exact opposite. The direction is in your favor. It's ascending. It's showing signs of healthy growth. And then the third thing is pattern, direction, and good deal. You guys can see that it recently sold off. It hit 180-day highs at 108. It pulled back, tested the SMA line based off of recent pattern. It does this quite often. This is why I'm going to set my alert for the break above the EMA line. One of the things that you have to get through your head, especially all beginner traders, you should never be told where to buy and where to sell. It should make sense to you. And on top of that, there's two sides to every opportunity. If you're always just being talked to and spoken to about the upside, but never the risk involved, that should be a huge red flag. There is always some form of risk involved, regardless if it's a trade or regardless if it's an investment. And you should always be aware of what's my upside potential, what's my downside potential. Write it down, depending on the dollar amount that you plan to invest or trade. What does that look like when it comes down to the dollar potential and also the dollar potential for loss? Something you need to visually see just to make sure that you can condition yourself and tolerate that specific type of opportunity, right? The next one is going to be ticker symbol BJ. And again, a lot of these stocks were actually shared to me by the Learn Plan Profit Group as we collectively put a list together, and a lot of these actually came from them. So huge shout out to the Learn Plan Profit Group. This is ticker symbol BJ, and as you guys could see, a very common resistance at $44. This is not the similar pattern that ATHM just offered. This is more of a horizontal pattern, so it's a little bit easier to kind of see the low points here, and it's a little bit easier to also see the high points when it gets to $42 to $45. It was a previous ascending uptrend pattern, and this is why I'm talking about it, because we are approaching previous support levels. Patterns tend to repeat themselves. They don't always have to, right? So it's oversold. You can look at the RSI, you can look at the MACD, but it doesn't mean that it has to bounce in. This is something that you have to get through your head. So what does it have to do here? So we are showing signs of growth. If I were to ask you, with there's three stages of a reversal: rejection, consolidation, and confirmation. Pause the video. What stage is this in right now? It's making lower lows and lower highs. So it's in the rejection phase, right? Stage one. It's not even finding a support level yet, and it has not indicated signs of an uptrend. I would need this thing to break above the EMA line, just like it's done here, just like it's done here, to indicate signs of growth. Why? Because like we've all said, it is so much easier to make money in the market when the overall direction is in your favor. So that was ticker symbol BJ. This is ticker symbol, this is Costco, C-O-S-T. This is not a very aggressive moving stock. It's very bullish, meaning that it's uptrending. It's very consistent, and it's a solid company, right? And the reason I'm talking about it is because it is pulling back to the SMA line, and based off of recent patterns, it tends to be a good deal when it bounces off the SMA line. If you don't know what the SMA line is, search it up on YouTube, or if you're part of our Learn Plan Profit group, I have an exclusive video just for you. Set your alerts. There's 2 sets. Every opportunity, patterns tend to repeat themselves. They don't always have to. Again, this is not the most aggressive stock. If it pulls back to sub 370 and it makes new highs, right, that's about a 5% return in comparison to a lot of the other stocks that offer like a 10, 15, 20% return. So you really just have to ask yourself, are you someone that's just getting started and you would rather focus on consistent and more just less aggressive moving stocks? Rightfully so, right? This might be something that you can tolerate a little bit more than maybe something that is a little bit more aggressive moving. Do you get what I mean? So that's what I want to make sure that I cover, and that you understand that you don't have to see value in all of these stocks, because a lot of them are more aggressive than others, and you need to make sure that you cherry pick the ones that you resonate the best with and that you feel like you can keep up with and tolerate. The next one is going to be CPRT. This is Copart. For all my car people out there, especially if you own a dealership, this is something that I'm sure you're very well versed with. Very bullish the past couple of months. You guys can see that it's testing this SMA line as a support. We're not making higher highs just yet, but based off of where we're at right now and previous resistance levels right around 130, that's a 14% ROI. So even if you capture 7-10% of that out of that 14%, there's no such thing as a perfect trade. We just need to make sure that we begin to indicate signs of higher highs and higher lows, and we don't break below the SMA line. If we do, I'm going to be able to set my alert here. Like we know, there's 2 sides to every opportunity, but the thing that I find so attractive about this is how bullish it's been, higher highs, higher lows, how consistent it's been, and also the decent deal that we are currently presented. Now, this is a little bit different. CRM was doing very, very well during pandemic conditions. It began to consolidate, and it just recently sold off, unfortunately, due to earnings. It acted as a negative catalyst. This is for people that maybe want to approach something that might move a little bit more aggressive. As of right now, we are not indicating any signs of an uptrend by any means. It is selling off, making lower lows and lower highs. I have my alert set here to get alerted when it begins to indicate signs of an uptrend, because like we've said, it is so much easier to make money in the market. Why or when? When the overall direction is in your favor. So I'm going to set alerts just in case it continues to sell off. As we all know, the more it sells off, the better deal that we can get. So it is so important to understand the importance of waiting for confirmation. So I set all my alerts right here, and if we do wait for the break above the EMA line based off of previous support levels and previous resistance levels, it's not anything that offers a ridiculous return, but that's about a 9% margin. And if we approach previous highs, that's more of a 17% margin. So it just depends on if you see this to be an opportunity, add it to your watch list, and make sure you set those effective alerts on when you want to be reminded. Next stock is going to be ticker symbol CRSR. You guys can see that it recently pulled back due to 180-day highs. It's been making lower lows, lower highs. There's nothing attractive about it right now on why I would want to buy right now. It is getting rejected off this EMA line just like it was a couple days ago. So it could continue to sell off, and the SMA line is a little bit down here closer to the $30 price point as it sits at $36.30. So one of the things that you have to ask yourself is, again, do I have true confirmation? I would say that right now this is still within the stage 1 going into the stage 2 of potential consolidation if it finds a support level right around $35. I have my alert set up here if it breaks above $40, and if it does, then again, based off of where we're at right now to previous highs, a pretty attractive ROI in comparison to a lot of the other ones that we talked about, a little bit over 35%, even if you do wait for confirmation. So it's not always about buying it for the lowest price possible, but making sure that you have an effective entry, especially if you're under the PTT rule, because sometimes, let's be honest, if you buy in too early, it could continue to sell off, and then now you just have to manage your risk and you have to waste a day trade as long as you're not a bag holder, right? So a very similar setup to DLTH, approaching previous support levels at $12, which has been a very, very common horizontal support level based off of previous trading prices. So this general area, due to unfortunate earnings, pulled it back. We'll see if it validates this as a support. But again, the only reason I'm talking about this is because it was just at 1460. So with where we're at as of right now to previous highs, that offers a pretty decent return. It dropped nearly 15% alone today. So I found this to be a good deal opportunity for those dip buyers. But again, confirmation is key. So I would set my alerts and make sure that it actually finds a support level, because like we know, it could continue to drop. So make sure that you set alerts on both sides. Out of all the stocks that we talk about in this video, this has to be one of my favorites altogether. It's one that I'm personally invested in, and the reason why is because of how consistent it's been. It does not mean that this one is going to actually gap up in comparison to any of the others. I just find it super attractive. I personally think it's a very solid company. It is a retail story, and unfortunately during pandemic conditions, let's be honest, they don't have the perfect setup. But I have effective alerts being set up here. So if it finds a support level, talking about the 3 stages of a reversal, I can see that it's beginning to consolidate. Now we just need to wait for confirmation, and then that's when I can begin to average up. As a very common support level at the SMA line, it's been very bullish. It's been ascending and very consistent. So from where we're at as of right now, from the break above the EMA line to where we can get, it's a little bit over 25%. Even if I capture 10 or 15% of that, I would be very, very grateful. But that means that I just have to be super patient with that proper confirmation, and that's why we set our alerts. Let's move on to HD. I actually don't want to talk about this one too much. I just, based off of recent patterns, it's kind of pulled back right now, so I just added it to the list. This isn't one that is continuously ascending, anything like that. It's not one that offers crazy returns, but I just added it because it met some of the criteria. So that is ticker symbol HD, which is for Home Depot. So this is IQ. Aggressive sell-off from $28. It is trading now at lows of 22. It's beginning to indicate signs of a potential reversal, but it does this very often where it can try to push up and then gets rejected and makes new lows off the SMA line. So make sure that, again, we were previously trading above the SMA line. Now we're trading below it. So set your alerts. Make sure that you are aware of specific trading prices and trading resistance levels that if it approaches that area, they can be critical points where they can actually begin to act as a resistance level. So with where we're at as of right now to previous highs, obviously, there's a lot of upside, 15, 20%, depending on where you see the next resistance level to be. The reason I added this to my watch list for the oversold stocks is just because of how quickly it sold off and the upside potential based off of the current price point that it's sitting at right now. So talking about the 3 stages of a reversal, I see this going in from stage 2 to stage 3, and let me know in the comment section if you agree. The next one is JD. Very consistent ascending uptrend pattern, very smooth. It's at the SMA line based off of recent patterns. You can see that it's had a couple nice pushes. It's not something that I would rely on as it doesn't hold up here for a very long period of time, but I just find how consistent it's been super attractive. It hasn't really been making aggressive higher highs, so it doesn't have to bounce. I just thought that because of its consistency, because of its overall uptrend and the upside potential, I would add it to the list as there hasn't been a breakout pattern just yet. The next one is MRVL. Recent pullback because of earnings. This is why I love earnings, not because I trade during earnings seasons, but because all the stocks that sell off, I can buy for a better deal for my future self. Do you get what I mean? Doesn't mean that all of them are good deals. It still means you have to be selective and to make sure that they meet your criteria. So recent pullback to the SMA line, it's in the very early stages of it selling off. We have not received any indication of a support, no consolidation, nothing like that. So it is testing SMA line. It has broken below that before, so just take that into consideration. From where it is that we are as of right now to previous highs, a little bit over 10%, and that's why we added it to our list. I personally am not the biggest fan of NIO. I've talked about it before. I think it has a lot to prove. But based off of how bullish it's been and how it's pulled back, it is testing this SMA line, and it has tested it before. It is making lower lows and lower highs as of right now, but that's why we have these alerts set up. I just, again, wanted to take my personal opinion out of NIO and just share it with you. If it meets your criteria, great. NIO, it's a very aggressive moving hype stock. So if you're someone that's just getting started, if you suck at cutting losses, or you don't deal well with momentum, this probably isn't something that you want to partake in. If you do deal well with all of that momentum, all of that hype, and you lock in profits and you effectively cut losses, then maybe something that you can add to your watch list and add at a later time. And following up NIO is the infamous NKLA. NKLA with a very aggressive pullback. Why did it pull back so aggressively? due to that GM partnership that is no longer actually in effect. GM pulled out of that partnership, very aggressive drop, building a very strong support level, it looks like. We're not showing any indication of an uptrend. Again, removing my personal opinion out of it. It is oversold based off previous support levels. It looks like it's consolidating based off of previous highs. It looks like it can push up, but of course, it has a lot to prove. Huge upside margins if it actually begins to uptrend. Be very, very careful, as there's been very unfortunate news being shared about NKLA. And that's ticker symbol NKLA. Another one is PEN. Consistent uptrend over, again, the past 180 days. Overall high is right around 277. Recent pullback. It's not indicating any signs of an uptrend. I already have both alerts set on this. You guys can see for the break below previous support range. If it ends up making lower lows, you guys can see that it has a previous support around that general range. So you can see why it's catching the support here. MACD, RSI, all look very attractive. Now we just need to break above the EMA line and begin to indicate signs of an uptrend. So I'm going to set my alerts on that one, and we can follow up with it then. Recent pullback, previous resistance level right around $30. Very common resistance range, as you guys can see with this, double top here. Pulling on back, MACD, RSI, all that looks good, but now we just need to see higher highs above the EMA line. Based off of where we're at right now to previous resistance levels, again, a little bit over 25% return, nearly 30% based off of previous resistance levels and where we stand right now, but we need to wait for that proper confirmation. SILK, I'm pretty sure I've gone through more than 10, but that's just what I wanted to title this video. Very consistent descending pattern. It was very, very bullish before. It's selling off as of right now. It doesn't mean that it ever has to recover, but because it's so oversold, I wanted to add it to this list. Let's set these alerts, and if it begins to indicate signs of an uptrend, again, you need to understand that when you take advantage of an opportunity, this opportunity needs to earn and meet your criteria, not just throw your money at something and hope it plays out according to plan. So let's set those effective alerts and let's wait for proper indication. Again, I'm sorry that I sound like a broken record. It is so important to wait for confirmation because it is so much easier. It is not easy, but so much easier when the overall direction is in your favor. But like we know, there's two sides to every opportunity. So make sure that you set alerts in case it continues to drop, as it's been dropping for the past couple of days. SPLK. Very aggressive drop due to earnings. I saw this to be as a potential dip buy opportunity for those that see value in it. Aggressive drop, it doesn't mean that it's done dropping. It could continue to sell off. I set alerts for both sides just in case it continues to or begins to ascend, or I set an alert if it breaks below 150 just in case it begins to drop even further. So this is something that we have to follow up with. And why did I add this dip buy opportunity in comparison to others? Because of how it used to trade before. But again, patterns tend to repeat themselves. They don't always have to. We're almost done. So ticker symbol SWN. Very consistent uptrend pattern, as you guys can see, based off of previous patterns. A lot of consolidation here, and now we're back at trading above the SMA line. Recently pulled back to the SMA line. We have to set these effective alerts here, and you guys can see that right around $2, $2 to $3, that would be the break above the EMA line. This isn't something that offers a ridiculous amount of return, but again, it's a lower cap stock, and I can see why some people might find it attractive. I could also see why, because it's such a lower cap stock, why other people might not. So depending on your criteria, you can either add it to your watch list or completely skip on it. So let's go ahead and talk about Walmart. Again, a very small little pullback, very consistent uptrend. This isn't something that offers great return, but it's something that, again, is very consistent and very conservative. A little bit over 5% ROI if it pulls back to the SMA line just like it has before. As of right now, it's selling off, so I would say it's more in the rejection phase than the consolidation. So we'll have to see if we begin to indicate signs of an uptrend. Again, this is a little bit more for someone that might just be getting started, wanting to get their feet wet, something that is continuously uptrending over a long period of time, especially as we enter the holiday season, where it would make sense that Walmart might see an increase of demand. And the last one that I want to talk about is ZM. It dropped due to earnings. The notorious platform, online video streaming platform that did so well during pandemic conditions. Of course, due to earnings, we saw a drop. When it comes down to the specific two companies that are leading right now in COVID vaccines, you can see why there might be a idea of, well, if we begin to transition to business as usual, we are going to see most likely less demand for services like ZM, right? recently pulled back, testing previous support levels. This isn't something that, based off of previous resistance levels, offers a ridiculous return, but it's not shabby, a little bit over 15% based off of where it's at right now and where it was trading at right before earnings. So that's why I decided to add it to my watch list. I do want to update you guys on my overall day. Again, this is December 3rd. So we broke over $5,000 profit. If you guys follow me on Instagram, it should actually be popping up right here. I was up 5.2K, and this is following up with yesterday's little red day where I was originally down $1,000 yesterday, but then I ended up closing it at up $150. I ended up closing it down only $150 because Goldman Sachs upgraded Tesla, and that shot Tesla up, and I had 150 shares leading to aftermarket trading session. So I'm super pumped. I hope that you guys are all having an amazing weekend. I know I'm kind of all over the place because I'm filming this video in advance, but I'm talking about previous days as if it was yesterday. But altogether, again, I'm super excited to share tomorrow's video. If you guys would like me to continue to make these top oversold stock videos because they expose you to certain stocks that are very oversold and that you can add to your watch list, then all we ask you to do is to make sure to drop a thumbs up. I'm excited for our Sunday stock talk tomorrow as well. That's going to be at 6 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. And if you want to join us for me to break your top stock, all you have to do is subscribe to the YouTube channel, turn on your post notifications so you get alerted when it is that I go live. If you guys want to join us as soon as Monday for our live trading sessions, I exclusively only trade live with the Learn Plan Profit group, and that is that second link down below. If you guys want to join our free Facebook group with over 294,000 members, that is that first link down below. I appreciate your time, and like always, let's make sure that we end the year on a green note. Take it easy, team.